We're joined today by Jeff Hayes. He is the author of the new book, Sleepaway Camp, Making the Movie and Reigniting the Campfire. Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Juston?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, no problem.
Well, first of all, you've got a new book out, Sleepaway Camp, Making the Movie, Reigniting the Campfire. I'm really excited about this book. Can you tell the listeners a bit about it?
Sure. The first half of the book is about the making of the original Sleepaway Camp back in 1982. And, it goes through all sorts of stuff that you haven't learned about before, because I actually had tracked down some people that worked on the production that nobody has really ever heard from yet. So, I was able to get into a lot of different facets of the making of the movie that haven't been talked much about. And so the fans are going to get a chance to kind of learn all that stuff as they go through the first half. And then the second half of the book is kind of about my journey starting in the late 90s with co-creating the official Sleepaway Camp website, and just everything that happened because of that. Like I tracked down, Jonathan Tiersten and Felissa Rose and Robert Hiltzik, and from there I put together conventions and screenings and reunions. And so it's a story about, what happened after we kind of brought back Sleepaway Camp on the internet and all the really cool things that happened since then.
Yeah, it is amazing everything you've put together here in the book, and the behind the scenes pictures and everything. And I think it's even more incredible maybe that people had the foresight to hang on to all this stuff for the last 40 years.
Well, a lot of it was, packed away in closets and drawers and stuff. And we got lucky with some of the people, again, who worked behind the scenes, like Ed Fountain. He's a mechanical effects guy, and he worked on Creepshow and some other George Romero movies. And he's actually the guy who created most of the effect with the arrow going through the neck through the camp owner, Mel. And for years, people have wondered how that effect was even achieved, because it looks so seamless. And Ed was able to take me through from beginning to end how it was done, and the mechanical rig that he actually created to put on Mel, and how the whole thing worked. And, he even drew a diagram, and he had some photos from the set that we were able to use in the book. So yeah, it's going to be really cool for the fans to finally be able to see how that was actually achieved.
Definitely. And of course, Sleepaway Camp is an all-time classic horror film. Kind of seems like it took a while maybe to become recognized as one, though. Maybe some horror fans kind of took a while to discover it seems.
Yeah, it's interesting. It came out on video in the mid 80s, and I saw it for the first time on HBO back in 87. I was only 11, and I recorded it one night when it was on really late at night, and I watched it the next day, and I just got to the end of the movie, and I was like, oh my God, what happens next? You can't just leave me hanging like this. So I had to go on that journey and find out. And it started maybe a little bit with the videotapes and on cable. And then, with the website and the movie being re-released on DVD back in the late, actually that was early 2000, it started really getting back out there, and people were really finally able to see and appreciate this movie that maybe was kind of like a little bit more obscure at the time than most of the other slasher movies.
And somehow it does seem, with all the crazy stuff we've seen in horror films over the last 40 years, the ending to a Sleepaway Camp still seems to get to people. I don't know. Do you think the film would maybe still be talked about today if the film maybe ended more traditionally?
I think the ending is definitely a part of the whole Sleepaway Camp mystique, really. I mean, that's definitely a piece of the puzzle that without it, I mean, you just don't know if it would be quite as popular as it is. But I mean, it's still a fun movie all the way through, but it's kind of like that ending where you find out who the killer was the whole time, and it's this big shock that it just still leaves this big impact on people. And it's definitely, one of the big reasons why it is what it is.
Excellent. Again, Jeff Hayes is with us. We're talking about his new book, Sleepaway Camp, Making the Movie and Reigniting the Campfire. And Jeff, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the sequels to Sleepaway Camp. They took a different direction, obviously, but I think it's one of those rare cases where they're maybe just as great as the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I love the sequels, and definitely the vibe is different. Like the first movie was a whodunit murder mystery, and the second two, like you knew who the killer was already, and it was kind of like the time that they came out, it was more like Freddy Krueger and let's make jokes while we kill people, things like that. And that's the route they followed, but they did it in a really fantastic way. You root for Angela throughout the entire movie, even though she's like killing everybody. But it's just so fun, especially the creative murder sequences. To me, that's probably my favorite thing from the series is watching how they pulled off all those creative murder sequences. And the sequels, they definitely have that.
And with the new book here, you've also got some music being released. I wanted to ask you a bit about that, the music in the film, working with Frankie Vinci on getting his EP released with the book here.
Yeah, the publisher actually asked me if I knew Frankie, which I've known Frankie for years, and he wanted to know if Frankie would be interested in having some of his music from the movie released on vinyl and on CD. And so I had a discussion with Frankie, and he was all, yeah, let's do it. And he said, I'll remaster it. And the other cool thing was Frankie had made a remake of the original Angela theme, and we wanted to get that released because not many people have heard it. And so that was going to be a part of, putting this out would be, let's put out Frankie's new version so the fans can hear what the original song from the end of the movie that everybody loves sounds like, as well as this new kind of more punk version. And, Frankie was great to work with. And we're so glad that, that this is coming out now on vinyl, and the fans have been so thrilled, to be able to get it that way. And it's exciting times.
Yeah, for sure. I know 1984 Publishing, they've done things like this in the past, and I think it's awesome that they're able to combine the two mediums. And I got to say, I heard the music, and we've been playing the Angela's theme, ripped straight from the DVD for years. It's great to hear it now finally remastered and sounding the way it's supposed to.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you've got to hear the new remastered version.
Yep, definitely. I got it the other day, and it sounds much better than the old version I took straight off the credits. Yeah,
it's really cleaned up, and I've always loved that. It's the perfect song for the end of that movie. It's creepy, but it's very melodic. It's everything the end of that movie needs, and now you really get to hear it nice and kind of crystal clear the way it was kind of always meant to sound. And I think like you, I think a lot of the other fans are going to be really psyched to be able to hear it like that now.
Definitely. And Jeff, you mentioned running the website for the Sleepaway Camp films, and I read that you were involved with Return to Sleepaway Camp that came out a while back. Do you think we could see more from this franchise? Maybe a fifth installment, or like an Amazon Prime series?
Absolutely. Robert Hiltzik has actually written a reboot. And so basically, you have characters from the original movie, and of course they'd have to be played by younger, people today. But, it's that awesome classic story with so much more new subtext and the kind of stuff that's happening in the world today. He totally he made it about now. So it still has all those elements that you love about Sleepaway Camp, but it also has even more. And the original movie was a movie that everybody just kept thinking about after they saw it. And this reboot would be the same way because there's so much subtext in it that, you'd be like, after it ends, you'd still be hanging and you'd be like, oh my God, now I want another one. So, Robert would love to do the reboot. And, right now we're looking into some options on that and keep your fingers crossed that, maybe we'll be able to get that done.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully something does come of that. And Jeff, I wanted to ask you, Return to Sleepaway Camp. I don't know how much you were on set at all, but did you get a chance to interact or hang out with Isaac Hayes during that time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was one of the producers on the movie. I was there every day. Isaac was absolutely one of my favorite people there because he came in, and I've been a big fan of John Carpenter's Escape from New York for years. And the day he came in, I went over and introduced myself, and I was shocked he knew who I was because Robert had told him Jeff, who created the website, is going to be here. And, he told him the story about how, my tracking people down and getting all this stuff together was really very, crucial in getting this movie to happen. So when I met him, he knew that story. And so I was able to talk to him about Escape from New York and about the story. And like, we just hit it off really well. And he was just the nicest guy. He was probably the most well-known actor in the movie. And yet he was like, he treated everybody like, just like he was a genuinely awesome guy. And, that was fun when he did the scenes in the camp kitchen, and he had some really funny lines and stuff. And he was just great all the way around.
That's awesome. Well, Jeff, I know the new book is just out here, but is there something else maybe you've got coming up or anything else we should be watching out for?
Well, I mean, right now it's all about this and, getting it out to all the fans. And, I've been talking with the publisher, there's some ideas, to maybe do some more of this type of stuff in the future. And, I guess we'll just have to see how bad the fans want it. And it's been really like, encouraging when we've seen all the pre-orders and all these numbers of how excited everybody is. So, if everybody still feels that way, then, I think there's more to come.
Awesome news, man. Well, it's been great speaking with you, and I'm really excited about this book and the whole package here with the music, and hopefully we can see some more here coming down the road. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.
And again, that was Jeff Hayes. His new book from 1984 Publishing, Sleepaway Camp, Making the Movie and Reigniting the Campfire, is available now.